safety ticket, step out, get some air now, let your edge out, to some iceberg, you'll be heavy in my mind, can you get the heck out?
Fashion week, I learned so much. It's literally only been 4 days, and I have learned so much. I want to just go over a few quick things that I've learned as a photographer of what not to do and what to do at Fashion Week, just to make it a little easier when you do get your first fashion show. So with me, I am working with Nelson Models, and we were actually flown out to photograph the fashion show, network, and things like that because we are heading to Paris. So what I want to talk about is just a few of the things I've learned during my first fashion show and tell you guys how I got into the field and what are some things that you guys need to pay attention to when you do go out and start working in the photographer's pit or wherever you are. So I have a couple of images that I'm going to put up as I talk. When I went to Fashion Week, my main goal for Fashion Week was literally to build a portfolio of images that could sell me and get me into the industry of fashion. The first day I went in with my photographer mind. Mind you, I have never done a fashion week, so I went in thinking the first day, let me focus on the complete setting. I actually used my Canon 16 to 35mm lens with my 5D Mark II because I wanted to get more of the scene setting shots from day one. That's some of the shots that we have up here. And then what I actually did was I didn't focus on getting the full outfit. Getting the full shot is something that you typically want to do when you are doing a fashion show. But for me, as I said, I'm coming at it from a more of an artistic standpoint because I wanted to get some of the shots that are scene setting shots. Some of the shots which are a little bit closer up, which may include some of the guests' heads and you can see some of their faces in some of the shots. And I really love that. Instead of shooting from the end of the runway, like the photographer's pit, where you typically get the shot, I shot from the side, closer to the front so that I can get the opposite view. And I think that that helps me stand out. When I do fashion or when I do any type of photography, of course I'm going to go into it with my own mindset. What are some things that I would like to do? What are some things that I would like to see? What I did was literally just focus on the shot, the art behind a fashion show. So I have 3 days. I'm going to put up some clips from day one so you guys can see what I'm talking about, kind of where I was angled. I'll show you some of the pictures in the next clip. And then we'll come back and talk about day 2 so you guys can see kind of where I'm talking about and where I'm headed. So let's go to day 1 and show you a little bit of the behind the scenes of kind of like what I did, where I was, some of my shots, and then we'll check back in.
Never knew, no, I never knew that you be a freak and a friend too. Yeah, you into everything I'm into. I got something that I can lend you. A piece of mind, baby.
So that was day 1. Now, what I really learned from that day is getting more of those artistic shots helps build your whole complete set if you're going to try to do a collage or something like that from a fashion show. But mind you, if you are strictly into fashion and you're strictly just there trying to get the designers to repost your work, get at the end in the photographer pit. So lesson number 1, stay where the photographers are if that's your goal. Find your goal. Are you trying to be in the photographer's pit and get those typical fashion show shots? Or are you trying to be an artist, mix and mingle throughout? You have to figure that out because fashion shows are really first come first serve for photographers. If you're just there to mix and mingle and you want to get a couple of shots, you want to get your phone shots, you want to get some video, pick an angle, work on the artistic end of it. But if you are strictly there for the designers, you're strictly there to make those connections, stay at the end in the photographer pit. Now, to day 2, let's show you some of that footage from behind the scenes, and then I'll come back and let you know kind of what I learned from day 2.
First base, second base, third base. I'm trying to get you in your birthday. I know these better niggas thirsty, but please never entertain them, cause that would hurt me, you feel me? Yeah. I know you feel me.
As you see after day 2, I kind of focused on more of the fashion. I kind of focused on more of getting the complete shot so that I can tag the designers and try to make more artistic looking images versus the scene settings. So this day I actually used a Canon 75 to 300 lens because I wanted to get that zoom aspect. And I was thinking that when I went in, I would be behind people, but I would try to get a higher above or try to go to the photographer's pit. Once you get there, it's so on the go that you have to be ready to work. So my lesson from day 2 is go in with your intent that you want to photograph with networking or whether you're just going to work with the designers, make sure that you follow the rules of the fashion industry. So don't use flash. Don't be rude when you're working with people and when you're getting in the way and getting your shots, because you don't want to build that name for yourself as somebody who's just going to jump in front of everyone and be selfish. Hey, we're all a team here as photographers, so we all are here for the same goal. And it's not about who gets the best shot, who gets this, it's just about who is there, what your purpose is. Let's go to day 3. I only have a little bit of footage from there, but I do want to show you more of the photos because this is where I was able to get into the pit. Let's go. As you see, day 3, the images started coming out super sexy. They came out super crisp, and I'm actually excited because I actually nailed down my settings. I was able to get behind the scenes, like go after the show and go downstairs with the models. I didn't get any pictures, but I was able to mix and mingle. I was able to meet a lot more photographers, a lot more just people in the audience. You're really out here to meet people, network, see how you can help them, how they can help you, and go from there. But mind you, you are going in with your intent first. That's number 1. Everything else, you have those intermissions in the show. You want to make sure that you're able to do all of those things at the same time. So I had so much fun in these last 3 days. We did not go to the fashion show for today, but I think that just being in New York, working with the models, working with the idea, going in, working with the models, working with the entire fashion show, and seeing the community for the first time really put a battery in my back, and it just made things start to click and make more sense. So as you see, the images from day 3 are by far my favorite. So my third tip is once you're done photographing that day, try to go home and edit. Try to go home and at least upload the photos so that you can be one of the first few people to have your images going through those designers' inboxes. So that's just a few of the things I learned, but that's the main point. You want these designers to see your images. If your intent is to work with the designers or get them to repost you, try to be one of the first. Even if you're not one of the first, try to import them that night to give yourself the upper hand. You don't want to try to post those images 2-3 weeks later because nobody's going to see that. And you also don't want to be trying to show all your information, all your footage weeks later once New York Fashion Week is gone. The thrill has passed. They're on to next. When you're working in the industry, you have to be always focused on what's next.